Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes, get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and I am making movement for myself. And at the same time, right? My intent is to share that. My intent is to show up every single day with the lessons at hand, the experiences that I'm having. Truly, it is the experiences that I'm having on the inside and the outside. I'm creating the best human being that I possibly can, but I am not infallible. Infallible. None of us, none of us are. It is a process. In our evolution, oh my goodness, would anybody have thought that in this day and age, this is where we would have been? If I think when I was graduating high school, what the future would look like, would have I anticipated anything like this? Today, I thought we'd talk because this word we had this week was this word creation. It's our 32nd word this week, or this year, because it's going to take us just over a year to get all these words done. I'm picking 54 words, and we're pulling up a word every week, powerful words, and with different perspectives, different conversations, right? Sometimes it's in the experiences, sometimes it's in somebody else's experiences. Sometimes it's just in a story that you heard somewheres along the line. I thought today we'd take a look at that creation, that most important creation when it comes to creating the best human being we possibly can, because it's in, right, the evidence of that actual movement. And that is innovation. That is those experiments, those tryouts, the testing, the practicing, all the failures in all of that process, right? How many times did they, right, try to create insulin in a way that it would be effective for people with diabetes, right? Such a major, major, major breakthrough. It has allowed people to have the most spectacular long lives compared to what they would have had if they didn't have access to the insulin. I'm talking about insulin specifically because my sister's having issues with her diabetes despite innovation, despite that there's insulin there. Diabetes affects many parts of the body. And even though, right, we can do our very best in that creation of the best human being we possibly can, like I said, none of us are infallible, right? And we make mistakes along the way. And sometimes we need to be regulated by others. I have to say, I have stayed out of that trap, that medical trap for the most part. Not to say that I haven't had services done. I truly am very much appreciative of the doctors, and I have full trust in that. But, you know, medicine, well, that's something my family is quite familiar with because of all the ailments within the family, the heart disease, stroke, diabetes, arthritis. It's just right. And it's not the fact that I'm avoiding doctors, not in the least. It's just that I don't feel that need. I don't feel that illness. And 150 years ago, right? Yes, the lifespan of a human would have been a lot shorter, right, than what it is now. And a lot of that is because of innovation. And that's the truth. I have to trust because I'd like to see my sister move forward, right? Everybody is moving forward, but not everybody understands that they're moving forward. They just see the hairy scary. They just see the change, right? They're just experiencing the fear, right? And the uncertainty of that movement. For some of us, we kind of have inklings along the way, but that's all they are, in inklings, right? Because as much as in the 60s and 70s, I would never have guessed this day and age that we're sitting in right now. I wouldn't even assume to think how far we can go and will go in the next 50 years. It's all in our choices. It's all in our choices, right? It's just like, when you go to Burger King and they have that sign, right? There's like 101 ways to put your Whopper together, right? Well, there's certainly more than 100 ways in order to create the best human being we possibly can, because each one of us is a contributor into that creation of the best human being we possibly can, right? But at the same time, there's so many choices, even for myself, as to why that slowness, that cautiousness in that decision making, in that movement that I want to make, that I'm feeling things out and I'm waiting to be inspired rather than just jumping into absolutely everything and then leave myself so entangled in a stressful mess because of all the multitasking that I've chosen to put myself into, rather than being a little bit more hyper focused in what I'm doing and trusting that the experiences, the conversations, the adventures will come across my path and life will get easier for me, because those answers, right, like a saline drip, will slowly drip into the system. And I'm not saying drip into me, but drip into the world itself. And this idea of, right, that things are going to change, that things are going to get better. And how they're going to get better, right? Because those discoveries are not discoveries in this moment, but each moment, one of us, all of us, have an opportunity to make a choice. Maybe you're that person to discover the next piece of that puzzle of, right, how we should go about creating the best human being we possibly can, right? I am non-denominational. I truly believe that it takes all kinds to make the world, because, right, each one of us are having different experiences, and in those different experiences we each have something that we can show somebody, teach somebody, right? So that we're able to do that for ourselves. In the beginning, sometimes it has to be done for us. But if we're good students, if we're paying attention, and if we're smart enough, right, you're going to pay attention, you're going to take note, and you're going to learn how to do it for yourself. Each one of us in our choices is going to create change for ourselves. And me showing up here, and part of that creation is part of the promise of showing up and just sharing the experience, sharing the conversations, right? Even if it's just in the mundane, because what's mundane to me might be everything to somebody else, right? It might be a deep lesson for somebody else. But because I breezed through that, or somebody else breezed through that, and I paid attention and I caught a hold of that, right? I'm able to share that. Maybe somebody will catch it, maybe not. But if I absorb the lesson well enough and it's a lesson that serves me well, that rewards me in that way, you can guaranteed I'll share it again. And that's how it's done. That's how we learn off of each other. It's in that, not even being creative, because that creativity naturally comes into our lives like constant in that everyday, day to day, in that adapt and conquer, in that cause and effect, in that hairy, scary, in that split second that we've got to make a decision, right? Those choices in those moments get the ball rolling. And we can continue, right, with that, or we can allow ourselves to stop because it's going too fast, or it's too scary, or it's too difficult, right? I've done it all my life, and I'm grateful for the lessons that come across my path. You know, it was in the trauma, right, that I learned to be creative. You have to, right? It was just not in the trauma, but in those ways that I coped, right? You know, the the well, there was lots of things. There were lots of things, but it was in those choices, and it was the stumbling and the making mistakes, and then every once in a while getting something right. But because I show up here every single day, more often than not, I share those experiences, right? Just on the, well, optimistic idea that if it worked for me, that it might work for somebody else. Not everything works. I delve into a lot of stuff, right? Not to say it's wrong, right? Because what you think about is realized, and somebody thought of that, right? Somebody realized that. So I'm not gonna discount it in any way, but it's my residence, right? It's what feels right for me. And because this is my experience, I'm going to experience it a little bit different. But that doesn't mean that those lessons, right, aren't going to seep through. And it's into each one of those um, choices that we make that will cause the change. And in that change, because that change is uncomfortable, I don't know about you, but I'm going to be creative in the way that, right, that I buffer that bumpy, that bumpy ride, right? That I'm going to soften the blow of the understanding, because sometimes, right? Sometimes we don't want to hear the truth. For me, myself, hello, Nancy dear. Hello. Thank you for popping into my live. I always know when Nancy's here because those hearts start flying. Those hearts start flying. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Right? We're still on this word creation. I don't know if you wanted to add something because, right, Nancy's a super creative person, and I don't know about her, right, whether it comes from the same source. It is in my hypervigilance, it is in that trauma, it is in covering my tracks too, right? Because you get creative. When I was a gambler, I haven't gambled in over 4 years now. So grateful for that gift. It was a gift, it was a lifesaver. It has allowed me to be here in this moment, right? But gambling made it so I practice and I honed in on my creativity, right? Because I was always looking to get out of those financial binds that I was putting myself into, not just putting myself into, but putting my husband into when I was married, right? And also putting my sister through, right? When my marriage fell apart, right? And always being that codependent, always needed somebody there to clean up the mess when I made a mess, right? That's the person that I was, right? That was the person I was, not the person that I'm now, right? We're still working on some of those lessons, 100%. But you can't deny your own because in the end, that's all you've got. And that's a truth, 100%. So I am creative in how I make that movement that's right, that's uncomfortable, right? In asking for help, in showing my flaws because they are flaws. They were flaws in that gambling, the way I would allow my sister to cover my debt while I was off having fun with money, knowing, oh, it doesn't matter if I blow it all because my sister will take care. And this is how I thought, my sister will take care of it for me, no problem. And she always did, right? And she always did. So I want to just stress there, she didn't do that because my sister did have a good heart. She would have done it for me anyway, but I didn't feel it in the need that I could be truthful and say, oh my goodness, I blew all my rent money on the gambling machines. I need you to cover my rent. I would be creative in the things that happened to me or the things that I said happened to me that would put me in a situation that I would need her to help me out. And she helped me out. She helped me out lots. And I recognize that, and I recognize in my choices that contribution, right? And I don't say contribution in a good way. I say, right, my part in that unfairness of somebody else picking up the slack and where I went wrong, right? I'd like to think I'm doing a little bit better now. And it's not like I'm losing my creativity because I'm not practicing and covering my butt in that being creative and covering my butt, but it's in the direction that I want to go in, right? The questions that I'm asking myself, right? The taking a look out at the world and seeing what can I create, knowing what I know now, having the experiences under my belt that I have right now. What can I create? What can I contribute? Right? And so there is, what's my good cheer? Right? It's in these conversations, Nancy, right? I just changed my name on my YouTube channel to allow me to create more fun things that I want to do. Right? Oh my goodness. And that's what you right? That's creation. That's creation. And I knew, well, I always knew how creative you were, Nancy. But you got to try different things, right? If you didn't try the dolls, how would you have known that you loved those babies so much? Right? If you hadn't taken up the hobby, right, of the micro trains, how would you have known that you would love the hobby, right? without making those YouTube videos, right? How would you know that you love being a YouTuber? I love being a YouTuber. I love being a part of the YouTube and Google community, right? I really do appreciate feeling like, I have a place here. Going on 10 years with this brand of mine, and I'm grateful because this brand should have rolled over in its grave a few times, and that's the truth. It's out of pure love for my brand that it still exists. It's just out of my creative endeavors, right? And creative intentions towards this brand that it still exists. And all you have to do is go to the main channel to witness and experience that. And check out some of the other content I bring to the table, you guys. Right? Okay, believe it or not, I'm going to make some. I said I was going to make some dinner, but I think maybe I'll make myself a cup of coffee, take in a couple lessons, be grateful, right, that I have my job, that I go back to work tomorrow for a few days. It's the biggest sale of the year. We've got dollar days going on. So I am going to be totally bagged for the rest of the weekend. Monday will probably be a total write off. Just like Monday was a write off this week. But I managed to accomplish everything and more. I got my passport. I took care of my transit bus pass application renewal. Oh my goodness. I got the projects done. I got the furniture done, right? I got some of that stuff that I've been putting off for a long time. And I got some of that done. And I have no idea how I got it all done. Just grateful that it got done. It needed to get done. It was my intent that it was going to get done. But it was my movement that was dictating something else, right? And I pushed through it, and right, it's all done. The rest of the evening is mine. I enjoyed my days off. I was able to connect a little bit with Mother Nature, not the trees and stuff, but I was able to get outside and go for a little bit of a walk today, which was really nice. Got out, visited my sister. Um, yeah, things are moving. That's all I can say, right? In the creation of the best human being that I possibly can be. I'm not infallible to my mistakes, and I don't beat myself up in my limitations, right? I just keep hacking away at them, right? Understanding that at hacking away at them, eventually it'll seep in, and right, we'll move on to the next lesson. Okay, you guys, I'm bagged. I'm calling it night. We'll see each other tomorrow. Um, yeah. Thank you, Nancy, for popping in. No, thank you for popping in so much. That was really, really nice of you. Have a great night, everybody. Bye bye.